you're busy enjoying that.
Oh, guys, looks too real, man.
Too real?
Absolutely, look at it.
Well, we'll have a Hyperrealism artist here with us. Good morning, good to see you.
Good morning, good to see you.
He's taken aback by that. He just,
Yeah,
you get that kind of reaction all the time, don't you?
A lot.
Wow.
I mean, I'm just blown. First time I saw it, it was. Sorry.
The background, first of all, wait a minute. How did you learn this?
Actually, I learned some element of art in Yabatek. So I developed it after graduation.
Nice. But you definitely had some inspiration because you also said previously, I think on your website, that you had some lecturers that influenced you and all of that. But the influence wouldn't have come if you didn't have a kind of background.
Yeah, the influence wouldn't have come by that because those lecturers gave us the limelight that we needed to follow. Because they are in the forefront, they see what is happening outside, and we copied from what the kind of paint said that was when in school. But when you leave school, you try to like expand your own, find your own roots, get different ideas from different sources you can get, and merge it together to become something.
He talked about passion. How important is that? I mean, is this something you always wanted to do?
Yes, I've always wanted to be an artist right from the age of 3. Yeah. So I tried to nurture it gradually.
What gave you the interest at that time, if you can remember?
Yeah, I could remember while I was a kid, I used to draw. I used to draw with, look at the newspapers, magazines. I copied from those newspapers, and I enjoyed being in my own solitude time. So then I developed that interest more as I grew up.
What kind of interest, well, how much support did you get from home, from mom, from dad, from family?
My own case is quite different from so many other artists because, you know, most parents want their kids to be a doctor, lawyers, engineer, and the rest, bankers, and the rest. But my parents, my grandparent was a printer, and my mom was a printer. And my dad wasn't a printer, he was a businessman. So my mom usually gets this cut-off printing papers from the printing press. So when she realized that I normally draw on my normal mathematics. So he make a jotter, we call it jotter then. He made those jotters for me. Immediately I come home, I would see one jotter already pinned down with stapler for me. So I use those things to draw. So I developed.
Sorry, Jimmy. The time you were born and were growing up was a time when Nigeria had what they call the austerity measures. Yes. Why? Because poverty was kind of increasing at the time and government was doing all kinds of things. So people...
I guess it didn't affect the mind.
Sincerely, I mean, no, not even of his mind, but of his parents to have even supported that kind of thing. Did you any kind of pushback at all from anyone?
No, I didn't get any pushback from my both parents because I told you already earlier on that my grandparent was a printer. My grandparent was a printer and he lectured a few years in Yaba College of Technology. And then in Yaba Tech, they usually have arts department in the same school of art and printing. So he realized that there are some students that are making it through art. And he knew this is the path this guy is going to. And he tried to nurture me towards that part that I couldn't derail to any other.
So the moral of that story is, I mean, parents who try to force their words towards a certain area. So they need to identify, look, what is it that this child wants to do? What is he or she passionate about?
Absolutely.
So you can encourage them on.
That's the message.
But those works, looking at them, how do you draw them? I mean, is it something that the person sits in front of you, like this one, for instance, or it's something you have in your mind, then you just recreate, you draw it out?
Okay. While I was, immediately I left Yaba Tech, there are so many departments, there are so many courses you read about art, and you try to choose the one that you love most. But I try to choose the one that is most challenging, because I knew at the end of the day, you want to be at the power of those who are outside this African country. You want to become just like trying to become a footballer. You want to earn your skill to become a Messi, you become Ronaldo, but you are in Africa. There are so many role models of footballers that are in Nigeria, but it depends on the limit they can go. But I understand that. So I try to know that I need to learn so many things immediately I left school. So I do all sort of research on my own before I try to put my work in the market, try to start doing exhibition and the rest.
Okay, well, you have a wide array of choices in arts.
Yeah.
And you chose hyperrealism.
Yeah.
I think maybe let me take my perspective of Chamberlain's question.
Okay.
Tell us about hyperrealism. What does it mean, and how did it even come to be in the first place?
Yeah, hyperrealism has been in existence for like 50 years ago, but none of the Nigerian masters have been able to coin that name for themselves, because there are so many American artists, German artists, Dennis, so many of them like that are too close, and so many of those hyperrealism artists that are majorly photorealism. But in the sense that you will look at their own kind of style, they try to like work towards getting a perfection of higher resolution that the eye can even, not the layman can even think of. They can get to such details. So they pursue that kind of perfectionism. So, and I see that in the environment where I was born, there hasn't been any master that has reached that, probably one or two, but they kind of stopped in some areas because they stopped in the area of photorealism, because none of them could achieve what the water effect could create, another level.
Which is what you're doing here.
Which is what I'm doing here. So when I realized that none of them could get to that extent, so I tried to like challenge myself that I will get to this extent.
It made me even ask a question. That water thing that you raised, Chamberlain, sorry, made me ask, why water? It was most of your arts. Look at this one, and a good number of others that have come previously. They have the water characteristics. Is it that?
Those kind of water scene comes accidentally to me, and deliberate to me in instance. Accidentally, because while I was trying to get some research, I tried to go to my 12, take some references, try to paint some market scene, and I stumbled on a woman trying to wet a carrot. And when she was trying to wet the carrot, I could realize that when I took the shot, I could realize that I can paint the woman's face, but I can't paint the waters on her hand and the water dropping. So I kept the reference. I was so scared. I kept the reference for like 3 years or 4 years. I couldn't paint it. But I was so fascinated by the emotions of that old woman. But I said, if I paint this, will I cut off the hand? So that fear took me like 3 or 4 years to win out. So deliberate in the sense that when I was a kid, I tried to like play with children a lot. When I left Yabatech, I played with children a lot. So I used to see them taking baths. And I used to say how the beauty of water is on the skin. But because most people don't understand that when the water touches your body, it gives another illusions that you can't, the beauty itself can never be seen by just an ordinary eye. it's going to be seen by somebody that is very patient, that can see.
And speaking about patience, how long does it take you to put out one of these works?
It takes like 1.5 months.
Whoa. 1 month?
Yes.
And
some have taken me 2 months.
To paint?
To paint.
Do you, okay, you said you take pictures. Are you saying that every single one of these are pictures that you took previously?
Yes, every single one are pictures I took.
So including that girl, that the one I think you probably identify the one that is like the most prominent, the first one that played before we came on.
I took all the pictures by myself.
While the water was being poured on them?
The water was being poured on it. Because I realized it's a challenge for me. And I haven't seen any artist in Nigeria that have achieved that height. And I realized there's nothing that will be more fascinating about art than to be challenging yourself to grow to another level.
How did the lecturers see this? Because is it back in the curriculum now?
It's almost
this is not the one
we saw. A lot of them are really happy that I've been able to coin a style, which a lot of students are trying to emulate. A lot of students, even those who are in universities now, are trying to like emulate that style. And even some are even been writing a lot of theses about it, writing projects about it in university. And sooner or later, maybe it will be part of curriculum.
Okay, let me ask you, what does your job, your calling, what does it say? What does it do? Okay, this is you at work, obviously. Yeah. What's the message you're trying to communicate to the world?
First, my job entails trying to talk about the society, the way we live, and the way we allowed ourselves to forget the beauty and existence of everything in our environment. And I try to build that in my art, and I try to bring it out to the audience as well. That not everything has to be in rigid. We have to have the flow of life. We have to have the tenacity to adapt to the society we are and enjoy life at every point.
And what kind of feedback do you get from people as a result of the communication of your art?
Yeah, a lot of people tell me that it reminds them of so many activities they must have done while as a kid. So many people have called me to, this looks like me. This looks like my daughter.
Yeah, success has many fathers.
So this looks like my uncle. This looks like my young baby. They try to so many things because I've been able to bring out something. Everybody take their children to the water, take their bath, but never when everybody think of, let me take my children while taking a bath. They don't see the beauty. Immediately they shower, they rub towel and forget about it. But, you know, as an artist, you look at in-depth of everything. Here we are now, there are some kind of elements that if an artist grab it, you turn it to a magic into it.
Mark can see now sometimes, so that, well, I think she's got a question anyways. Mark.
You know, I think your work is amazing. It's so beautiful to behold. And I think that what is even more remarkable is when you do the work that has to do with water. I mean, I don't think many people have seen water painted in the manner that you have been able to project this. And I can imagine that the reaction, the feedback that you would have received would have made it worth your while. I do not know if it will be, if it has been financially rewarding so far. I mean, it's all up to you to say just how much that has made it worth your while in terms of the financial gain that you have received. That's one question I'd like you to speak to quickly, if you may. But then there's also the question of the competition that this could have with photography. I'm sure that you've seen the rise of photography in Nigeria as well. Some people will say, if we can take a picture of it and enlarge it and, you know, focus on the tiny little details through the lens of a camera, why do we need to paint this?
Okay, let's start from the first question. You know, I personally don't do art. I've started doing painting before I can think of probably the painting is going to make money. So I enjoy the process. And that is, you yourself, you are in this studio now, you enjoyed the communication, the process, the everything about telecommunication and mass communication. We enjoy everything. Likewise, an artist, if you want to be a successful artist, you have to enjoy the process. You have to enjoy the feelings before you think of the money. Most of my lecturers used to say, learn before you earn. So when you enjoy the process of learning, the money flows as if you did money rituals. So I don't see anything that will hinder the economic gain as an artist, because right now, if somebody could paint a work for like 500 years ago and the work is selling for like $450 million now, so why?
So how much does yours sell for? One.
I said if somebody.
Oh.
If somebody, I'm not saying mine. If somebody could paint a work 500 years ago, which is Leonardo da Vinci I'm referring to. So if the work could sell for $450 million now, presently, you could see that it's just like Nigerian is not that awakened more about the importance of having an art in the environment. At least it should be in the law that Nigerians should have, even if any structure has to be built in this country, they should have 1% of the amount they use in building that structure to fund art, to appreciate art. That will go a long way in helping the art industry.
Wow. You haven't answered the other question.
The other question is, she's saying
zero.
Yeah.
No. Is it? Why should people paint if they can use high quality lens?
Is because if you look at the hyperrealism, no matter how the hyperrealism, you will see every brush strokes which really deterred it from
like this
photograph. If you zoom into it, you see every brush strokes, and that brush strokes could be millions of brush strokes, and that brush strokes makes it more artistic.
It will seem like this girl, you use this girl a lot.
Well, we'll come back and take some more comments as well. Don't go away. All right, so what kind of reactions are you getting now, internationally first?
I've been getting a lot of attention for over 4 years now that I've been covered by CNN and BBC. So it's just coming over again for some people that haven't seen the works of mine before. And a lot of people have been communicating and are having a good response from so many people outside the country.
But as it is now, I mean, the way you came about this, is it something that you think, or what part of this can be taught? Because it wasn't how you learned it.
Yeah. I think the most important thing is for an individual to have the zeal to become an artist and then now have the patience to start drawing. When you understand, drawing is like how to reinforce an iron in a building. When you learn how to reinforce an iron in the building, no matter how you prepare the cement, when the iron is very strong and tied to the floor, the building will never collapse. And that is the basics of being an artist.
I know you must have noticed that there are a few other much younger, hyperrealism arts.
Yeah.
If you would offer counsel, what would it be for you?
Yeah, I think what I would do is for them to see how they developed from the normal drawing, cartoonist, and how to catch them from that point and tell them what to do and what not to do and direct them to the right progression. Because most people in this world now, a lot of contemporary people want to lie because what is happening that makes money is like people said you have to be contemporary, you have to do sort of rubbish, you have to do sort of things, style, to make I communicate your idea to the audience. But if you don't know what to do, your idea cannot come from nowhere. If you cannot think of something, if you cannot create something, you can't just say you have an idea now. I can see if it's something like an contemporary artist now, I can say this studio now, I buy all this machine in the studio and the camera and everything, and I say this is an art piece. It's an idea. But to a layman, it's not an art because you've not been able to create or draw anything in this environment. But the foundation, it's the drawing. If you can master the drawing, you can be able to do anything, either sculpture, either painting, either textile, either graphics. You can be able to do all sorts of things that encompasses of arts.
Wow. So definitely, I mean, everywhere you look in this country, there's always very, very fantastic talents all over, not even just the country these days, all over the world, as a matter of fact. But this is indeed very, very good. I'm sure there are lots of young people who get across to you. They want mentorship.
Yes.
You must have been giving them a lot of advice.
I've given numerous young people that will come all the way from UK for holiday. They'll bring their kids to me, and I try to impact some little knowledge into them, because most people think hyperrealism style is something I can just dabble into and just style. It doesn't work like that.
So what is next for you?
I'm working on showcasing some of my works in US and in UK again, and in some part of Europe too. Okay. And also, I need to also learn so many things, because art is so vast these days. There are so many things that are coming up as an artist, so you need to get 1 or 3 informations to add to your own ideas that will make it more, you can't just sit down in one place and thinking everything is going to be fine in 5 years' time.
Wow. Fantastic. This is very, very lovely indeed, and beautiful work. Olumide Oreshagun is a hyperrealism artist. Thank you very much indeed. And, hey,
thank you.
All the best.
Thank you.
Well done.